Welcome to this video, and we're going to be creating an infographic. So what's an infographic? Well, it's more than a poster. It's a poster that shares information and also, most importantly, shares your understanding of a topic. So in this example, I'm going to be creating an infographic about fair trade. So I've got some facts on this next tab over about fair trade. And if you're going to create an infographic, it'll make sense that you've got some kind of facts and figures ready in a doc somewhere to help you along the way. Right, over on the other tab, I've got Express open, and to start my infographic, I'm going to click on the tile that says create a graphic, and these tiles move around, so maybe you'll have to look for it. Okay, so in my infographic, I'm going to kind of break up my page to maybe 4 areas where I'm going to give 4 different facts about fair trade. So let's jump into my doc and let's see which facts I'm going to start off with. Okay, I like this as my first fact that most fair trade products cannot be grown in the UK. So it's things like coffee and bananas that can't be grown in the UK because it's not hot enough here. Okay, so that's a great fact. So let's jump back to Express and let's think of how we're going to show that on our infographic. Now, in this example, I'm going to be using a lot of the AI text to image generator. So I've clicked on media on the left hand side, and under photos at the top, you'll see the text to image button. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go for a square image because I'm going to want to fit a few of these around the place. So I can now type in this box what I'd like to generate, something like this. I've typed in my prompt, but I've also got options underneath where I could choose, do I want this to look like a photograph, a graphic, some artwork. I've also got these cool style prompts that I can use, so I can choose things like steampunk, synthwave, vaporwave, etc. So I'm going to go through now and pick a few of these that I'd like to use on my images. So as you can see, I've gone for layered paper and minimalism, and I'm going to try to stick to those 2 styles then as a kind of theme for my entire infographic. Once I'm happy with my prompts, I'm going to click on generate at the bottom, and then it's going to give me 4 optional results here. There we are. They look amazing. Now, if I wasn't happy with those 4 that I've got as options, I could click on load more and it would give me yet another 4 options. So I'm going to choose one now which I'm happy with. I think this first one looks great. So I'm going to click on that. And as you can see, it's added that into this square frame that I had when I chose the size of my text to image. So now that I'm done with the text to image part, I can go back on this back arrow and it gives me just the normal image editing options. So for example, maybe I want to crop this. So let's click on crop, and I want to crop it to a circle. There we go. And that's just cropped like you could do with any normal photo that you would import it. Okay, let's get some text in there. Now this maybe is text that you've produced yourself, but I'm just going to copy the text from this document. So I'm going to copy that first headline, Control C, back I go. And let's add some text. So I'm going to click on text here on the left hand side, add your text, and I'm just going to paste that into that text box. There we are. So now I'm going to search for a suitable font for this fair trade infographic. Now you've got recommended fonts here, so you can click on recommended, it'll drop it down and it'll show you some fonts. You can scroll over to see more. If you click on view all, it's going to kind of expand those and it's going to show them, there we are, in bigger windows for you. Or obviously you can also just scroll through the fonts here and choose or search for fonts as you see fit. Right, I'm going to sort out my font now. Okay, great. So I've got my first font there for the title. So let's just put that fact next door to the image that I produced. Now on an infographic, you'll also want more information. That's what kind of makes it different from a poster. So let's grab the next piece of text that explains this in more detail. I'm going to copy that, jump back over to Express. I'm going to duplicate this text box by selecting it and clicking on the duplicate button. There we are. And in there now, I'm just going to paste to replace that text. And here, obviously, I'm going to need this to be smaller so that it fits underneath my title. So now I'm going to follow the same process again for my next fact, where I'm going to produce an image using text to image. I'm going to crop it to a circle and I'm going to add the information into 2 text boxes. I'm starting to run out of space here, so I can just drag a box over everything I've got on the page, and then I can resize it, and that's going to keep those font sizes the same. And now I can just resize the actual width of my text boxes so that I've got more room now on my infographic to play around with. You can see that what I'm doing for text here, as I'm adding more facts, is I'm actually duplicating the original text boxes. So I'm going to duplicate these two, my title and my information, hit the duplicate button, bring that down, and I'm using those then. I'm just replacing the text in those as I'm adding more facts. Okay, and that keeps the formatting, keeps the same font and font sizes consistently throughout my design. Right, I'm going to add my last two generated images and my last two facts into these text boxes. Okay, so now that I've got all my images and all my facts, what I want to do now is check that my images are the same size. Now, sometimes you'll want to create an infographic and intentionally have different sized images, and that could look really cool sometimes. But in this one, I'd like my circles to all be the same size. So what you can do is you can line them up, and you'll see these pink lines appear. See? So I've lined up the top edge of these two images, and you see the pink lines across the top. And now when I grab the bottom handle and resize that image, you see it'll snap, it'll give me that pink line across the bottom, and I know now that those two images are exactly the same size. And you'll notice those pink lines pop up all over the place when we're moving things around, and they're helping us to keep things like spacing even between our different sections, and obviously sizes as I've just shown you now. So let's take the design element now to the next level here. So I want some kind of background to each one of my facts, separating them into different sections. So to do that, I'm going to jump into the elements, and I'm going to search in the design assets, and I want it to look like a coffee sack. So in the design assets, I'm going to search for Hessian, which is the material that's used to make sacks, coffee sacks. I'm going to scroll down, and I like the colour on this one here, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to bring that in, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill the width of the page. Now that looks great. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just crop it to make this kind of strap that goes across the page, like that. Brilliant. And then I'm just going to change the angle slightly. There we go. Something like this. And I don't mind if I'm overlapping my text and my images a little bit. There we go, something like that. And I'm going to drag that all the way down to the bottom of my layer stack over on the right hand side. Now that is definitely too strong at the moment, and I can't read the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the opacity down on that. There we go, just lighten it up a bit. Cool. Right, I'm going to duplicate that Hessian strip. So I'm going to choose the duplicate button. I'm going to pop one of those behind every one of my facts. There we go. And because we've got a reduced opacity, when they overlap, we get this really cool effect where we see kind of both of them laid on top of each other. Right, I'm happy with that. I still need to sort out my actual background. So let's jump into the media button on the left-hand side. And under photos, let's just search for coffee beans. And I just want it, there we are. That first one is amazing. That's perfect. So I'm going to choose that, click on it. And I want to set this as my page background. So on Express, there is a button here which does simply that, set as page background. That's brilliant. Now, again, that's a bit too strong for me, so I'm just going to bring the opacity down on that as well. Next, we're going to think about a title. Now, titles usually go on the top, but they can go anywhere you want. And in this infographic, I'm going to put my title at the bottom of the design. I'm also going to include the Fair Trade logo. So I'm going to jump over to my research doc here, the website, and I spotted a Fair Trade logo somewhere halfway up on the left-hand side. There it is. That's the one. That looks perfect to me. So I'm going to right-click and copy that image, jump back over to my design, and then I'm going to right-click on the grey outside the canvas and paste. There we go. And I've got my Fair Trade logo in. So I'm just going to pop it over there on the bottom left-hand corner for a minute. And I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with that later on. Let's get some text. So I'm going to copy this title text here and duplicate it. There we go. And I'm just going to change this text to say Fair Trade Facts. Let's resize that and get it to fill the bottom of the page. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to think about how I can incorporate the text and the logo together. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to change the color of the text to this blue in the logo, or I could use that green, I suppose, or even the white, but I like that blue. So to set the text color to a specific color, we can click on fill here and choose the fill color of the text. You could click on more colors and scroll through the color palette there, but I'm going to use the eyedropper up here. Click on that. And now, as you can see, I can hover the eyedropper over anything on my design, select it, and it's going to set that text to that exact color. Great. Now let's add a rectangle behind everything because I want to hide the fact that this logo is on this kind of black rectangle. And I want it to melt into my title. So I'm going to go into elements and I want shapes. Oh, do you know what? In design assets there was this really cool brush stroke that I like. So I'm actually going to use that. I changed my mind. I'm going to add that in, just one. And I'm going to fill across the bottom of my page like that. Yeah, that's great. Now then, let's send that all the way to the back. With this logo, I want to crop that white frame off it. So I'm just going to grab these side handles like that. I could even crop the word fair trade off, couldn't I? Because I've already got fair trade there in the title at the bottom itself. There we go. So now when I put that on there, you see it looks now as if this whole bottom section has been designed together as one thing. I could even underline my title with the second color, this green. Let's do that. So let's go to elements and let's go to shapes and choose lines. Or just line, sorry, just the one line. Let's try that in shapes. Okay, and I'm going to go for this straight line. There it is there. We can increase the thickness of that. And exactly as we did with the text, I can choose the border color by clicking here, choose the eyedropper, and then let's set it to that green. Now then, I can bring that down. And I can pop that underneath my title. And again, you see I'm echoing the colours in the Fairtrade logo in my title. And it just kind of ties my whole design together. My final touch on this infographic is that I want to have some kind of frame or background to these circular images. And I want to use these two colours again, because that's just going to tie my whole page together. Now, I could go to shapes and just grab a circle. But I'd like a rougher looking circle, an untidy circle. So if I just search for circle in icons rather than in shapes, here we go. You see, I'm going to get these kind of messier looking circles. And that's what I want for this one. Here we go. This one looks perfect. That looks perfect. It's like the stamp on a sack of beans. Right, I'm going to bring that in. And I'm going to set that color. I'm going to hide one of my images. And you see I've gone way bigger than the image itself. And I'm going to set that color now to one of these two colors at the bottom. So I'm going to go eyedropper, choose the blue. There we go. And let's bring that down now behind the images. Great. And let's just move that around so I'm not hiding the text. You could get it bang center and those pink lines are going to help you. But again, I like this kind of messy look on this design, so I'm not worried about getting things centered. Right, let's duplicate that and let's pop that down on the next one down. I'm going to spin it around a little bit as well and maybe resize it so that not all of these are the same size. Great, and now I'm going to duplicate that. And for this one, I'd like to change the color to the green. So I'm going to go to the fill, eyedropper, and choose my green and bring that down behind the images. And again, I'm going to duplicate that. and I'm going to place it behind my final image, resize it a little bit, spin it around a little bit. Just want all of these stamps to actually look different. That's why I'm doing this rotation. You could also use the flip horizontal and flip vertical so that every one of these stamps looks a little bit unique. And there we are. I've created an infographic about fair trade facts. What I haven't done is named my project. So up on the top left, I'm going to put fair trade infographic. And to share this, if I wanted to print it out, I would download it as a PDF. If I want to share it digitally, I would download it as a PNG. Alternatively, you can publish this straight to the internet and share the published page via a link by clicking on Publish to Web, Publish Link, and that'll give you a link that you can share. And there we are. That's how we use Adobe Express to create infographics.